Today, Mark, I thought we could talk about cooking and food because food is something everyone connects with. No matter where you live or what language you speak, food is part of daily life. Cooking is not only about eating, it's about routine, comfort, culture, and even emotions. When people talk about food, they often share memories, habits, and personal stories. That's why this topic feels warm and familiar. For me, cooking is a moment of calm in a busy day. It allows me to slow down, focus on simple actions, and enjoy the process, not just the final meal.
I completely agree, Susan. Cooking is one of those everyday activities that feels ordinary, but it carries a lot of meaning. For many people, cooking is connected to family. They remember meals prepared by parents or grandparents. Even simple dishes can bring back strong memories. I also think cooking gives people a sense of control. You choose the ingredients, the flavors, and the pace. In a world that often feels rushed, cooking allows you to move slowly and do something with your hands, which feels grounding and satisfying.
That's a great point. Cooking also reflects personality and lifestyle. Some people enjoy spending a long time in the kitchen, carefully preparing meals from scratch. Others prefer quick and simple recipes because they have busy schedules. Neither is right or wrong. What matters is that cooking fits your life. I personally enjoy simple meals that don't require many ingredients. I like knowing what I'm eating and feeling comfortable with the process. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated to be enjoyable or meaningful.
Exactly. Many people think good cooking means complex recipes, but that's not true. Simple food can be delicious and satisfying. Sometimes the best meals are made with just a few ingredients, prepared well. Cooking also teaches patience. You can't rush certain steps, like letting food cook properly or allowing flavors to develop. This teaches us to respect time and process. Cooking quietly reminds us that good results often come from steady, careful effort, not speed.
Food also plays a big role in culture. Different countries have different cooking styles, ingredients, and traditions. Climate, geography, and history all influence what people eat. For example, in warmer regions, people often eat lighter meals with fresh vegetables and spices. In colder regions, food tends to be heavier and warmer. These choices make sense when you think about daily life and environment. When we talk about food from different cultures, we learn not just recipes, but stories about people and places.
Yes, food is like a language of its own. Even without words, food can communicate care, celebration, and hospitality. When someone cooks for you, it often means they want to take care of you. Sharing food brings people together. Family meals, festivals, and celebrations usually include special dishes. These moments create strong emotional connections. Food becomes a symbol of togetherness. That's why people often say food tastes better when shared with others.
I also find that cooking affects mood and emotions. When I'm stressed, cooking helps me relax. Chopping vegetables, stirring a pot, or baking something simple feels calming. The kitchen becomes a safe space where I can focus on one task at a time. The smell of food cooking also creates comfort. It makes a home feel alive. Even mistakes in cooking can be learning moments, reminding us that perfection is not required to enjoy the process.
That's very true. Cooking teaches acceptance. Sometimes a dish doesn't turn out exactly as planned, but that's okay. You adjust, learn, and try again next time. This mindset can be applied to life as well. Cooking also encourages creativity. Even with the same ingredients, you can change spices, cooking methods, or presentation. Small changes create different results. This freedom makes cooking enjoyable rather than stressful.
Food choices also affect health, which makes cooking an important daily habit. When people cook at home, they usually have more control over ingredients and portions. Home-cooked meals often contain less sugar, salt, and oil compared to restaurant food. Cooking at home encourages awareness. You become more mindful of what you eat and how it makes you feel. This doesn't mean people must cook perfectly healthy meals all the time, but awareness itself is valuable.
I agree. Cooking at home builds a healthier relationship with food. It helps people listen to their body's needs. Some days you may want something light. Other days, something warm and filling feels better. Cooking allows flexibility. It also builds confidence. When people learn a few basic skills, they feel more comfortable in the kitchen. That confidence grows with time, making cooking less intimidating and more enjoyable.
Another interesting thing about food is how it connects generations. Recipes are often passed down through families. Even if ingredients change, the core idea remains. These recipes carry memories and traditions. Cooking them keeps those memories alive. Even learning to cook a traditional dish can help someone feel closer to their roots. Food becomes a way to honor the past while living in the present.
That connection is powerful. Food also adapts over time. Traditional recipes change as people move to new places or try new ingredients. This shows how food evolves with people's lives. Cooking becomes a blend of tradition and innovation. It reflects personal journeys. A dish might start in one culture and slowly change as it travels. This adaptability makes food a living part of culture rather than something fixed.
Cooking is also a practical skill that builds independence. Knowing how to cook means you don't always depend on others for meals. It saves money and allows better planning. Even basic cooking skills can make daily life easier. Cooking simple meals regularly creates routine and structure, which can be comforting. It turns eating into an intentional act, instead of something rushed or automatic.
Exactly. And cooking encourages responsibility. You plan meals, buy ingredients, and manage time. These small actions build discipline without pressure. Cooking also teaches problem solving. If an ingredient is missing, you find a replacement. If something burns, you adjust. These small decisions strengthen confidence. Over time, the kitchen becomes a place of learning rather than stress.
Food also creates opportunities for connection. Cooking for someone else shows care and effort. Even simple meals can feel special when shared. Sitting together, eating, and talking builds relationships. In many cultures, meals are a time to pause and reconnect. Cooking supports these moments by creating a reason to gather and slow down.
And that's why food and cooking remain such important parts of everyday life. They touch emotions, health, culture, memory, and relationships. Cooking doesn't have to be perfect or impressive. It just needs to be real and personal. When people cook with intention, food becomes more than fuel. It becomes an experience. And there is still so much more to explore within this topic as we continue talking.
Picking up from what you just said, Mark, I think cooking also shapes how people feel about their daily routines. When you cook regularly, meals stop feeling random and start feeling intentional. Even small habits like preparing breakfast or packing lunch can bring a sense of order and comfort into everyday life without much effort.
That's true, Susan. And I think routines around food give people stability. When life feels uncertain, knowing what you will eat or how you will cook can be reassuring. Simple cooking habits create predictability. This doesn't mean eating the same food every day, but having a rhythm that supports your lifestyle and energy.
Another interesting aspect of cooking is how it changes with age and experience. When people are younger, they often rely on fast food or ready meals. Over time, many begin to appreciate home cooking more. They start caring about taste, freshness, and how food affects their body and mood throughout the day.
Yes, and as people grow more experienced, cooking becomes less stressful. They stop following recipes strictly and start trusting their instincts. This confidence makes cooking enjoyable rather than intimidating. They learn that mistakes are normal and that adjusting flavors is part of the process, not a failure.
Cooking also teaches mindfulness. When you cook, you engage your senses. You listen to sizzling sounds, smell spices, watch colors change, and taste food as it develops. This sensory focus brings attention to the present moment. It's a simple form of mindfulness that doesn't require special training or effort.
I agree, and that sensory experience is powerful. Cooking forces you to slow down and notice details. In contrast to scrolling on a phone or rushing through tasks, cooking demands attention. This focus can calm the mind. Even short cooking sessions can help people feel more balanced and grounded.
Food also influences social identity. People often describe themselves through what they eat. Some say they love spicy food, others prefer comfort food, and some enjoy experimenting with international dishes. These preferences become part of how people express personality. Cooking becomes a way of saying something about who you are.
That's a great observation. Food choices can reflect values too. Some people choose homemade meals to support health, sustainability, or family traditions. Others cook creatively because they enjoy learning. Food becomes a form of self-expression. It communicates priorities without words. simply through daily actions.
Cooking can also reduce waste when done thoughtfully. When people cook at home, they become more aware of ingredients. They learn how to use leftovers, store food properly, and plan meals. This awareness helps reduce unnecessary waste and encourages a more respectful relationship with food and resources.
Yes, and planning meals also improves efficiency. When people plan ahead, they save time and money. Cooking becomes less chaotic. Instead of last-minute decisions, meals feel intentional. This planning reduces stress and makes the kitchen a more pleasant space rather than a place of pressure.
Another thing I find interesting is how cooking builds patience. Some dishes require waiting, simmering, or resting time. You can't rush these steps without affecting the result. Cooking quietly teaches that waiting is sometimes necessary and valuable. This lesson transfers easily into other areas of life.
That's true. Cooking shows that timing matters. Too fast or too slow can change everything. Learning this balance develops awareness. Over time, people learn to respect the process instead of forcing outcomes. This mindset can make people more patient, not only in cooking, but in daily challenges.
Food also creates shared experiences beyond family. Cooking together with friends builds teamwork. Each person takes a role, and the shared effort creates connection. Even simple cooking sessions can turn into memorable moments. The act of preparing food together often matters more than the final meal.
Absolutely. Cooking together removes pressure from conversation. People talk naturally while working with their hands. This makes interactions more relaxed. Shared cooking experiences often feel more meaningful than formal gatherings. Food becomes a bridge that brings people closer without forcing connection.
Cooking also helps people appreciate effort. When you cook a meal yourself, you understand the work behind it. This creates gratitude when others cook for you. It builds respect for time, skill, and care. Food stops being taken for granted and starts being appreciated more deeply.
That appreciation is important. When people recognize effort, they eat more mindfully. They waste less and enjoy more. Cooking builds awareness of value, not only of food but of human effort. This awareness can quietly improve how people treat others and themselves.
As we keep talking about food, it becomes clear that cooking is more than a daily task. It's a combination of skill, emotion, culture, and habit. Even small changes in how people approach cooking can improve their quality of life in subtle but meaningful ways.
Exactly. And what makes cooking special is that it's accessible. You don't need expensive tools or advanced knowledge to begin. Small steps are enough. With time, cooking grows naturally into something personal and rewarding, and there are still many layers of this topic worth exploring further.
Continuing our discussion, Mark, I think it's fascinating how cooking encourages creativity. Even simple ingredients can be combined in countless ways. People can experiment with spices, textures, or presentation. For example, adding herbs to vegetables can completely change the flavor profile. Small experiments like this give a sense of freedom in the kitchen and make cooking more fun. It shows that food doesn't need to be complicated to be enjoyable. Creativity in cooking also allows people to express themselves without words, which can be especially satisfying after a long day.
Absolutely, Susan. Creativity is one of the most rewarding parts of cooking. People often surprise themselves by discovering new flavor combinations they hadn't thought of before. Sometimes an accidental mix turns out delicious, and it feels like a personal achievement. Cooking gives people space to play and explore, and it also builds confidence. When you experiment and succeed, you learn to trust your instincts. Even if a dish isn't perfect, trying something new can be exciting and gives a sense of accomplishment.
Another important aspect is how cooking can bring people together in shared rituals. Meals are often central to celebrations, whether it's birthdays, holidays, or cultural festivals. Cooking for a gathering shows care and effort, and eating together strengthens bonds. Even simple family dinners have an element of ritual: preparing food, setting the table, serving, and sharing conversation. These routines create memories and a sense of belonging, and the act of cooking is a key part of that connection.
Yes, and these shared moments are often where stories are told. People remember who cooked what, the flavors they enjoyed, and the laughter around the table. Cooking becomes more than preparing food. It becomes a way to preserve traditions and create new memories. Even teaching someone to cook a family recipe passes knowledge, culture, and emotional connection at the same time. That's why cooking is often seen as an expression of love.
I completely agree. Cooking also teaches organization and planning. You have to think about timing, ingredient preparation, and multitasking. When people plan meals ahead, they reduce stress and make daily life smoother. This skill can carry over to other areas, like work or personal projects. Cooking demands awareness of sequences and priorities, which helps people feel competent and capable.
Exactly, Susan. Timing is key. Overcooked food or poorly timed meals can feel frustrating, but learning to manage steps in cooking improves overall life skills. It teaches patience, adaptability, and foresight. People begin to understand that certain things take time and effort, and rushing rarely produces the best results. Cooking can feel like a practical classroom for life skills that are valuable beyond the kitchen.
Cooking also introduces people to different cultures in a very hands-on way. Trying recipes from other countries allows people to experience flavors, ingredients, and techniques they might not encounter otherwise. This creates curiosity about traditions, history, and local habits. Food becomes a cultural bridge, letting people explore the world without leaving home. Even simple dishes like pasta, curry, or stir-fry can open doors to understanding diversity.
Absolutely. Through cooking and tasting, people gain appreciation for other ways of life. Ingredients tell stories, why certain spices are used, why methods differ, and how dishes evolved. Cooking fosters openness, learning, and respect for other cultures. This experiential learning is more engaging than reading recipes or books. By preparing food, people internalize culture through all senses: touch, smell, taste, and sight, which creates lasting understanding.
Another aspect is nutrition awareness. Cooking encourages people to think about what they put into their bodies. When preparing meals from scratch, people become aware of the quality and freshness of ingredients. This awareness can encourage healthier choices, such as including more vegetables, choosing lean proteins, or experimenting with new foods. Cooking becomes a tool for wellness, not just survival, and encourages people to make decisions that support long-term health.
I agree. Home-cooked meals provide control over nutrition that eating out rarely does. People can adjust portions, reduce salt or sugar, and experiment with healthier alternatives. Cooking becomes a form of self-care. It allows people to nurture themselves and their families intentionally. Knowing how to prepare balanced meals builds confidence and satisfaction in everyday life.
Cooking also has emotional benefits. The act of preparing food can feel therapeutic. Chopping vegetables, stirring sauces, and baking are repetitive, sensory activities that calm the mind. It allows people to focus and disconnect from stress. Even when life is hectic, spending time in the kitchen can provide grounding and a sense of achievement. The smells and warmth from cooking also create a comforting environment.
Exactly. Cooking can be meditative, and the results are tangible. People see, smell, and taste their effort. This makes the experience rewarding on multiple levels. It can also be a creative outlet for emotional expression. Adding spices, arranging dishes, or decorating desserts allows people to express mood or personality. Food becomes a form of art, emotion, and care simultaneously.
Another interesting point is learning through cooking. Recipes teach following instructions, measuring ingredients, and understanding sequences. People build both practical and cognitive skills. Mistakes in the kitchen often lead to better understanding, trial and error learning, and problem solving. Cooking teaches resilience. If one dish fails, you learn from it and improve next time.
Yes, Susan. This learning process is very human. Cooking encourages observation, experimentation, and adaptability. These skills are valuable beyond the kitchen. Life often requires adjusting when conditions change, and cooking mirrors that experience. Learning to adjust flavors, timing, or techniques reinforces patience and flexibility, which are applicable in everyday situations.
Cooking also teaches generosity and hospitality. Preparing food for others requires thought, effort, and consideration. Even simple meals show care. Sharing food fosters social bonds. Preparing a favorite meal for a friend or hosting a family dinner creates connection and gratitude. Food becomes a medium through which kindness is expressed naturally.
Absolutely. Hospitality and cooking are deeply connected in all cultures. Food is often the first expression of welcome. Preparing food for others demonstrates effort and attention. Sharing meals encourages conversation, laughter, and storytelling. It's a universal language that brings people together, transcending age, language, and culture.
Even small cooking routines improve life organization. Simple steps like washing vegetables before starting, measuring ingredients, or setting up a clean workspace make cooking more efficient. These routines spill over into other areas of life. People often notice improvements in personal habits and general organization. Cooking reinforces structure and intentionality.
Yes, and even shopping for ingredients teaches planning. Deciding what to cook, budgeting, and choosing quality produce requires thought. Cooking is more than the act itself. It includes preparation, execution, and reflection afterward. These processes build awareness, responsibility, and mindfulness in everyday life.
Finally, Mark, I think what makes cooking truly valuable is its combination of practicality and creativity. It meets basic needs, food for survival, but also provides joy, learning, and connection. It allows people to express themselves, nurture others, and explore culture, all while developing practical life skills. Cooking can be simple, complex, traditional, or modern, but it always carries meaning.
I couldn't agree more, Susan. Cooking is more than a chore. It is a way to connect with the world, with people, and with oneself. It blends skill, care, and creativity. Through cooking, people express love, mindfulness, and curiosity. Even small efforts in the kitchen can create a big impact on lifestyle, relationships, and personal satisfaction. It's an endlessly rich topic that we can explore forever.
Yes, Mark, and I think that makes food and cooking the perfect topic for conversation, reflection, and learning. It's relatable to everyone, regardless of culture or age. Cooking is accessible, rewarding, and meaningful, and it touches almost every aspect of life. By cooking and talking about it, we share stories, traditions, emotions, and skills that enrich our everyday experiences. Thank you for exploring this topic with me, Mark, and thanks to everyone listening for joining this delicious conversation.